Yes.
Want to keep going?
All right, we've got Karen, Ashley, Aisha from Mighty Morphin Power Ranger the movie. Billy. Jones. And Austin St. John.
Walter.
Hi, I'm Walter.
Hello.
How you guys doing today?
Well.
Well, you guys are great fans, and we're all glad to be here. And we have one mic, so we're going to be doing this all day. Yeah, I'm gonna pass the mic off to David real quick.
And I feel bad because if we sit down, you guys can't see us, so I'm gonna stand up.
Really?
Yeah, I mean.
Well, if everybody's doing it.
So thank you all.
Pressure.
Yeah, thank you all for coming. We greatly appreciate you guys being lifelong fans of Power Rangers. It means a lot to us. It humbles us greatly to think that 20 years later you're here and you're here for us. And hopefully we've all met you, but if we haven't met you, make sure after this panel you come to our table, take pictures with us and get autographs and just talk to us. But what we're going to do is just a question and answer panel, so I do see that they've set up a microphone in the middle here. So if you want to line up to ask us questions, that would be
Awesome.
fantastic and amazing. And if you can, if you're at the microphone, stand up, but if you're behind them, kneel down so that the people back there will be able to see us, if you don't mind. So we'll all get our squat exercises in today. All right.
Physical fitness.
So let's start the game.
My name's,
Go ahead.
my name's Chris. I was wondering if you could tell us about the auditioning process and what it was like to audition for MMPR.
Great.
Okay. Do I even need the microphone, or can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, I'll use both. The audition process, these guys were all actors. I was a teenager with attitude that just got typecast. And, I'm pretty sure I didn't have the part, and then they were like, do martial arts, or can you do martial arts? I said, yeah, and they're like, well, go ahead. Right here, right now? They're like, yeah, I was, okay. So I did it. And I think that got me a call back. After that, they gave me a monologue where I had to, we're gonna save the world! And I had to be all excited, and I thought it was the cheesiest thing I'd ever read. But I saved the world, and I did backflips, and we all we bonded a lot and got really close, went through the process at the same time. Karen, who came shortly after I left, I'm sorry I missed her, but it was amazing. I got paid to do martial arts and kick butt for the coolest superhero team in the world, so I loved it.
I concur.
Yeah, I mean, it was, the audition process was interesting for all of us, like the original team here, like there's thousands of people that auditioned for Power Rangers, and it was like probably a good long month-and-a-half process before we were actually cast. I had 8 auditions before I got the role of Billy, so I had diarrhea for like 6 weeks because I really wanted to be a working actor, and it just made me nervous that you audition and you don't hear anything, and then a week later they call you back and you go back, and so it's a long process. So I hope you all enjoyed knowing that I have diarrhea.
20 years, I never knew that.
I don't know how to follow that up. Luckily for me, our audition, there were thousands of people auditioning all over the country because the show at the time was a hit. These guys had made it such a huge success. But they needed Rangers really fast, and our audition process was only 4 days. And the crazy thing was, Johnny and Steve and myself, we all came from Dallas, even though they'd looked all over the country. We were the lucky 3 to fill some really big shoes. So I didn't have diarrhea. I didn't have time.
I can't believe we're having this conversation.
Yeah, baby wipes are good. So, for the character Zach, they needed somebody who could do hip hop keto. So that was the thing that I did, right? So for me, what I had to do is that they asked me to dance. You know, they put on some music in a small room and here dance for us, and I was like, okay. And I don't even think it was like cool music.
At
I
least
think
you got music.
It was cheesy music.
It was cheesy music,
Yeah.
right? And then they said, well, can you do martial arts? Okay, do that. And then they said, can you do any flips? And I was like, oh yeah, backflip, boom, you know, did that. Now can you put it all together? Okay.
At the same time.
At the same time. Wow. So I had to create hip hop keto on the spot there and kind of come up with some idea of how you would turn dancing into fighting. And then we had auditions, and Austin and I had a scene together. We had to we worked together in this scene, and we did that, and then they put us together as a cast. They had 3 different casts towards the end, through all the callbacks, and we had like a tall cast, and we were the short cast, and then there was a funny cast or something.
A little older too.
A little older, yeah. So, but we won the audition, and we are who we are today. So it's awesome.
Yeah, the rest is history.
Great question. Next question, buddy.
I was just gonna ask you guys, what was your favorite episode / scene to film?
Cool. My favorite episode, I mean, I did 200 episodes, so I have a lot of favorites. But one of them was one in the first season called Food Fight. I think a lot of us enjoyed that one just because we got to throw food. But some of my other ones were like Power Ranger Punks, where Amy Jo and I became punks, and Switching Places, where Amy Jo and I switched character places, like I became Kimberly and she became Billy. That was a lot of fun to film. What about you, Walter?
It varies. Of course, Food Fight, like we said, was one of the fun ones. But yeah, it's hard to have a favorite. There's just ones that stick out of your mind. There was one where we rode ATVs, and that was fun because I don't think any of us had ever ridden an ATV, and we got to get on it, and they're like, action, and we just took off. You know, just riding around, and we're doing wheelies and jumping off stuff, and it was crazy.
They had trouble finding us too.
Yeah, they
I don't know where they went.
Exactly. They're in a walkie-talkie. Do you have them in sight? No, we can't find them. They're on ATVs. So, I mean, there was that, and then we had an episode where we were at an amusement park, and we actually...
I hated that episode.
It was a weird episode, but it was kind of cool because we got to be, you know how you're always behind the line and stuff. I got to... That big pirate ship that swings, I actually got to be standing right next to it and feel the wind blow by me. I was like, whoa, this is kind of scary. But that was fun. That was memorable anyway.
I hated Pineapple the Clown.
Yeah.
I was, 18, so I had the maturity of about a 3-year-old. And they wanted me to come around this corner and in all seriousness, be like, you're going down, clown! 22 takes later, because I was laughing, people behind the scene were laughing, they probably just wanted to shoot me. But I hated that line. Anyway, so one I loved, we had an episode where Walter had to have a spider land on his shoulder in the hallway. And they went through this whole thing about, oh, don't worry, I just fed him like 9 crickets. And I mean, this was a tarantula, it was as big as our hand. Later, we named him Homie, took him home to our house, and he lived in an aquarium on our wall for 2 years. But they were like, oh, we fed him a bunch of cockroaches, don't worry, he'll be fine. You always know when he's gonna attack because the front 2 legs will come up. We're like, okay. Walter's like, are you sure? We're like, okay, yeah. So, you know, we're sitting there going through the scene and the spider's supposed to just drop. So they call freeze and we all stand there. And then they run in and the guy puts the spider on his shoulder and then he runs out, director goes, action! And we pick it up and Walter had a very genuine reaction. He was like, you know? And then we see it turn towards him and the 2 front legs come up. And I'm thinking to myself, they said that's bad. They said that was bad. He's about to get his face eaten. That's bad. And Walt's like, ah! You know, and the Wrangler, who was like lightning, he came and he's like, shoo, picked it up and it was over. So I laugh at that all the time.
The director actually told me to look at it and scream. And that's when he raised his legs. He was fine at first. He was like just chilling. And I went, ah, he went, I was like, oh. Oh, really? This is real. That's bad.
That's funny. I don't know. My favorite episode changes like as much as I change my clothes. It's like I kind of start thinking back and like going down history and memory. But it's true, like we got to do things we never got to do in these episodes. So I really liked, really our first episode, we were in a decathlon, and so it was like, we had to swim, and then the very next second they were like, okay, now bike, okay, now run, now rollerblade, and there's a snake crawling up your leg. I mean, it was just like craziness. So that episode was good. I like being Miss Alicia. What other one? The Wild Wild West, yeah, I like that one. But there were a lot. I mean, it's like, I think I have more moments than I have, like, a favorite episode, because it's like, we would be there and we'd shoot them, and then I don't know that you kind of get confused, because we would shoot, like, all the command center in one day, so you'd shoot all 4 episodes in, one day, so I don't even remember half the time how it all got pieced together. But yeah, I would say Wild Wild West would have to be mine.
All right, next question.
It was a popular
You had a rollerblade with a snake going up your leg?
No, but it was like, I had a rollerblade, but then I got caught and then it was snake in my leg.
We're just having a moment.
I was in a
So, what was your name again?
Roman.
Roman, okay.
Yes. I have 2 parts though.
Okay.
Part 1 is what would be like the happiest moments of doing the Power Rangers? And I really loved you guys ever since I was a little boy.
Yay.
And the second part is, can I actually get a hug along with 3 handshakes?
Yeah.
So you just come up for the hug.
Me.
So
Really
what
loved you guys.
your question was,
we
what
love
were
you.
some of our happiest moments?
Yes.
Okay. I would say my happiest moments were when I was at a party at Walter and Austin's house.
That wasn't on Power Rangers.
That was behind the scenes fun.
That episode is never gonna make the TV.
That was on the weekend.
We don't talk, what happens in the house stays in the house.
No, they used to throw really good parties, so
Good house
that's
parties.
like where we'd always go on the weekends
I went to so
to
many
unwind.
parties. Like,
Yeah.
they were historic. I mean, they were
Legendary.
Like magical. Legendary parties.
So happy moments, I mean, for me, is just the camaraderie that we've all built on set, and then over the years, we've remained good friends, and we as the original cast went through so much together in the auditioning process, and then just filming almost the entire season before it aired. So we had no idea what was gonna happen, and then when it aired, the show became this huge success. So we got to go through all this together, and so for me, like, I'll always cherish that, because it's like this thing that will always be part of us, Power Rangers, and we're very blessed to have had the roles that we have, because we get to meet people like you. So that's part of my happy moments.
Yeah.
We like Dave said, we kind of experienced the show becoming the show all together. And one of the moments that sticks out in my mind is there's a charity called Make-A-Wish Foundation. So it's for terminally ill children who have a final wish, and they wish to meet the Power Rangers. So we went to the hospital, and we're in this, we're walking through the hallways. We have our helmets on and off. We're taking them on and off, but they were like, there was a kid that had burned on his body, and they were like, they told us he wakes up in pain every morning, and he hasn't smiled in 3 months, and he's so sick he can't even go in the room. You can only look through the window. But we walked over to the window, and we had our helmets on, and we took them off, and we looked in there, and the kid, he started smiling and laughing, and that was an amazing moment for me. That was just like, I just get chills thinking about it, because they're like, he's smiling, and everybody was all excited for him and happy, and we met a number of other kids there that day too. But just being there and having the power just to smile at somebody and make a difference in their lives, that sticks out to me.
That was powerful. I think for me, I was so young, and I looked up to a lot of these guys in a lot of ways, and they helped bring me into who I become even today. But I remember the first time I met a fan. It was a little 5-year-old boy. I can't remember where I was, but I remember this little 5-year-old boy coming up, and I was having trouble processing fans. But I wasn't, I don't know why, I just couldn't connect the dot. I'm a guy, I put on my suit. Half the time I put on a suit where, you're not hiding anything. I was uncomfortable in the suit. I wasn't sure how to do things, and I was an insecure teenage boy. And this 5-year-old boy, he just walked up to me, and I remember his mom. And I was standing there, and I was on set, because I had the top half of my suit tied around my waist. I think we were in between a scene or something. And he walked up, and I'll never forget just this great big doe-eyed look in his eyes. And it struck me, this guy, or this little guy, really, there's no separation in reality and fantasy right now for him. I am this guy to him. And I remember when it hit me, and immediately after that, the responsibility of it hit me. And I realized now what I represented to him and hundreds of millions of others, and it blew my mind. And I kind of just, I took a step back, and but I never forget the look on that little boy's face. I don't remember his name, but he gave me the biggest hug. His dad was just shaking my hand. Thank you so much for being such a good role model. And I was just, I mean, I get goosebumps thinking about it. But it blew me away. And I mean, I was still throwing carrots on set and being immature. But when I was out in public, I was trying to be a really responsible guy. So.
Yeah, I mean, we had so many moments. Like, I mean, we all kind of had similar moments. I think for me, getting the part, you know, the show was a hit, you know, when I got the part. So it was like being a young girl, you know, being insecure, being, you know, going to these auditions, you don't know what they want, you have no clue. And to actually get the part and actually accomplish it and actually be a part of this amazing cast and be a part of this amazing show. And we had so many great moments along the way, but after doing the movie, we got to do the hand and footprint at the Mann's Chinese Theater. And that was the moment I think I was like, oh my gosh, I'm really a part of this, you know, and turning around and there's a sea of paparazzi and how they know your name, who knows, but they know your name. And it's just like being someone who really had a dream and realizing that dream is coming true. That was so amazing. And I tell people all the time, I mean, I'm a girl from Odessa, Texas, a small town similar to this, and I didn't know anyone in Hollywood, and you know, I auditioned in Dallas, and but my life changed in 4 days. So it always gives me hope anytime I get down or get sad. I always know that your life can change in a split second, and it can go from being normal, or it can go from being bad, it can go to absolutely amazing. So, you know, I use that all the time as my motivation, especially when you go to hundreds of auditions and you get more no's than yeses, no doubt. So always remember that, you know, I think all of us, we all came from humble beginnings, and it's like we all got to live a dream, you know, and we're still living the dream because you guys are freaking amazing, you know, and you give us way more than we give you. So thank you.
All right.
Hi, I'm Robert.
Nice shirt, Robert.
A couple questions, but mainly, you guys made me who I am, and made me a good person.
Aww.
I'm just wondering who made you guys, you know, when you were younger, who you looked up to, you know, inspired you to be the people you are that make us the people we are today.
My mom.
Gosh, we gotta hug you.
Thank you. I mean, obviously that humbles all of us. It makes us, we hear that constantly, and I can honestly say when I took on this job, I never in a million years would have thought that our characters have such an amazing impact on people. And we love to hear stories about how you became martial artists, or engineers, or doctors, or dancers, or whatever. And that we have that kind of a
Just cool people.
impact. In terms of, you know, I think for me, obviously, I thank my parents for being the cool parents that they are in the way that they raised me. Even though I didn't agree with everything when I was a kid, I thought I knew better. But now,
I knew better, but I didn't.
but now looking back, obviously, I'm grateful for the things that my parents instilled in me. But I'm glad to know that Power Rangers affects people in such a way, because I know a lot of people come from sometimes bad homes. And Power Rangers has been like their one saving grace, where they could actually take some kind of lessons or learn lessons from and apply it to their life in the real world. So I'll say that, and do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. I had a girl yesterday come up to me, and I don't see her here, but she was like, I love Power Rangers. Oh my gosh, I was so in love with it. And then you came on the show, and you look like me. You know, and I just, it's like it throws me because there were people obviously that, you know, inspired me. But that's what I really loved about Power Rangers, because we were all so different. You know, we were all different. We all were from different nationalities. We all had different backgrounds on the show, our characters did. But everybody had somebody that they could really connect with. And I just thought that was like the coolest thing that they thought of. You know, it wasn't like there were 5 people that were the same. You know, it was really a completely diverse show, you know, and it was ahead of its time, and having all the messages and all the things, and, you know, it really blows our mind when we see how much it meant to you as a child, and then to meet you. It's like come full circle, we meet you now, and it's still like I said, I think 2 seconds ago, I was like, we meet adults and then they turn into 5-year-olds and we love it.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. You guys are a big inspiration to us. I mean, it's a blessing, such a blessing to be able to make somebody happy just by saying hello. I mean, I'm a nice guy anyway. I grew up the person that I am. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan. I was raised around the church. You know, my dad was a minister. I had a great family. We had dinner every Sunday together. So I had this family feeling with everybody. I mean, I feel like that with people in general. And then to have had this character, this role, and then to meet people that have been inspired by me, and all I gotta do is say hello or just show the kindness I would normally do. The fact that it makes such a big difference is amazing to me. So that's a blessing, and we're very grateful for that. I think my family definitely inspired me to be who I am. My mom was probably one of my biggest inspirations, because she was a woman who always believed that the glass is half full rather than half empty. So, and counting your blessings, you know, you can stay happy. A lot of people ask me, why do you look so young? And I'm like, I just say it's cocoa butter and positivity, because and just because I just stay positive. I mean, we all have rough days. We all have days that seem like the worst day in our life. You know, you can, go through a lot of stuff in a day, but you just have to remember that somebody else is going through something so much worse than you somewhere in life, and being grateful that that is not your position is a good thing.
I think my family was a huge part for me. My father was a Marine. My mom was the first female cop in Roswell, New Mexico in the 70s, and that was tough. Women weren't treated with equality then, at least in the workforce. And she did it in the police force, so she was tough. Dad was Marine, Mustanger, tough. Both of them exceptionally intelligent. But I think, you heard me talking about I was a teenager when I was on the show. I was still growing mentally, physically, spiritually, and I was pretty lost in a lot of times. But when I figured out the responsibility that I had to you guys and hundreds of millions of others like you are the ones that helped to formulate me later into a responsible, hardworking kind of guy. So you guys actually helped formulate who I am today, as much as I may have helped, and we may have helped you. So thank you.
Great.
Hi, my name is Kirk. So you mentioned. Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you guys did bond on the set, and obviously that's gone the past 20 years. Have you guys, through the show and the experiences on the show, and still being involved with it in some ways later on, made other friendships, other connections? Like, do you ever get a call from one of the new Rangers, like, okay, how do you say these lines with a straight face?
You don't.
Yeah, I don't know that we've ever gotten a call like that, because they're amazing actors and they're accomplished in their own right. But the beautiful thing about these conventions is that we have gotten to meet some of the newer, cast members, and they're amazing. I don't know what is in the Power Ranger water, but it's like it's like you're instantly family. You know, we went through all kinds of things together, and we know that they're going through all kinds of things together as a cast. And so when we meet them, it's instant love. And we've actually gotten to know a lot of them really well. And I hang out with quite a number of them all the time. I actually hang out with Qn'A, Maurice all the time. We have lunch at least once a month, me, her, and Catherine, and we kind of, you know, make sure that we do that. You know, we build that friendship. So it's amazing.
I just think they're all really young.
Yeah, I guess as
Dang it, it seems so young.
Yeah, as the originals were the older ones, but yeah, I don't think I've ever gotten a phone call, but it's really nice to meet everybody from the newer cast,
Yeah.
and we have a good time with them. Great question. You're up.
You're up.
Yeah. Is it Ashland or Ashland?
Ashland.
Ashland.
She's a guitar player.
Awesome.
Ukulele.
Ukulele.
And ukulele.
I don't play guitar. You don't want to see me play guitar.
And amazing hoodie, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Amazing style.
No, I'm just kidding. Kind of a little story. So when I was younger, like I was a really huge fan of the Power Rangers, and I had this Power Ranger costume that I'd wear around my neighborhood all the time. My mom was like, "This kid's gonna get made fun of." Like, oh my god. So when I was like probably like 6 years old, she like took it from me. She's just like, "You're grounded for this for life." So you know, like not grounded, but you know, she took it away. I was gonna outgrow it anyway. So you know, later on down the road, I started, you know, noticing who I was, and I came out as a lesbian when I was 16 years old. And my mom's like, "How could you do this to me?" I'm like, "Well, that's because you took away my Power Ranger costume."
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us.
No, but I mean, I guess my real question to you guys is, I've always wanted to know, from the Power Ranger movie, like the very first scene when you guys are like skydiving, did you really skydive, or was it all green screen?
No, absolutely 100% we jumped out of a plane.
Did you really?
No. No, it was all shot in front of a green screen. Not all of it, but the parts that we did were shot in front of a green screen. They had half of an airplane, and we would literally jump. It was probably this high up. We would jump out the door onto a mat, and then they would hook us up to wires, and we'd just be flying around in front of a green screen.
It was high though.
It was high.
And we'd be like in front of the camera.
Yep, and then
Outside, we did the landing.
when you see us landing in the park, it was kind of like an amusement park ride. They'd put us up on wires and pull us way up, and they'd pull a cord and we'd slide in like we were
That's
landing.
so sad.
I'm sorry.
You know what though? All the guys except for me, I don't know about Amy, but I don't think us girls, we didn't want to jump out of a plane by any means. But all the guys wanted to, but they couldn't insure it. You know, if God forbid anything happened to one of us, you know, the insurance wouldn't cover us actually doing that. So we couldn't skydive, we couldn't scuba dive, we couldn't ride on a motorcycle. Like, it was like all these rules. We couldn't do all these things during the production because God forbid we got hurt.
Yeah,
So.
we couldn't even fly on the same planes together.
No,
It's like
three and
three people on one plane, 3 people on another plane, in case one of the planes goes down. Can't lose the whole
It was
cast.
serious.
It's like the real deal.
The real deal, like insurance.
That's not how.
And we'd be on the plane like 14 hours, 15 hours to Australia, like.
Yeah.
When do you guys head back to LA?
I'm tomorrow morning, first thing,
We
6:50.
still have all day to jump out of a plane.
Oh my god.
These guys, maybe, no.
We've jumped out of planes. We don't have a problem with it.
I've accomplished a lot of things in life. I'm good.
And it's far too cold.
I know, can you imagine?
Great question, thank you.
I gotta tell you, in the beginning of the series, they were like, "You want to do what? Jump off a building? You want to, yeah, go ahead, that's cool." And then the show got big, and they're like, "Oh no, we need to keep you safe." Okay.
Hi, I have a question. As we remember the Qn'A, played by Thuy Trang, what was your friendship like with her? I hope that was okay I asked. Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Thuy was one of those very special, exceptionally endearing, very intelligent, and at times very mischievous young ladies. And I felt like she was probably a sister figure for me. We used to just kind of curl up on set in between scenes. I mean, not like on the ground, but just kind of, she'd just fold in, I'd throw my arms around her, and, you know, she had this long, gorgeous hair, and we'd play with her hair, and, you know, talk about nothing. And it was, a lot of times, it was that kind of relationship where you didn't even have to talk a lot. You just have that hug or that proximity. And there's nothing sexual about it, but it was, comforting. You know what I mean? Well, this is PG, right? She was amazing.
Yeah, no, Tui was awesome. She was just a really kind spirit and very warm person. And she was funny, and I just, we used to laugh a lot together. And we went through a lot together as well. And she was a very talented actress, you know, and she was just really cool, and I miss her.
Yeah, I can't say too much more than that, but she was so beautiful, had the most amazing laugh, and she did like her hair and her hairspray. Spraying her hair up, and she introduced me to, because I'm kind of bald, and I'm always had a shiny forehead, but she introduced me to these little Chinese,
little papers? Yeah.
And she would, oh, you need to pat that right there. And I'd be like, oh, okay. So she taught me that. But she was an amazing girl. So thank you, great question.
Yeah. You know what, I always say, I feel like I have a, you know, I felt like we're tied together because, you know, we were the two Mighty Morphin Yellow Rangers, and I only got to meet her once at one of your legendary parties. But it was like right after they left, so it was like one of those things where it was like, hi, she was perfectly nice, and it was just a quick moment, but I'm so thankful for that moment. But I remember being on set, and the first time I got to put on the Yellow Ranger costume, I looked on the inside and it said Trini. And I was just like, wow. Like at that moment I knew I was, you know, stepping into some big shoes. And I told them, I was like, you know, they were like, oh, we're getting one made for you. And I was like, I'll keep this one. Like, I was happy to wear her costume, so that's fine.
Thank you.
You were my favorite character on Yay!
Thank you.
Okay, so here's my question.
Yes.
Whenever the series was over, did you have to take home props or costumes with you? You know, 7 years.
I'm so mad at these guys. Well, I'm mad at you. Because you couldn't take anything because you were threatened, you know, your life was threatened. It was worth a lot of money. So I didn't. Like, I was like so scared to take anything. And then I find out 20 years later that they all have something. And I was like, why didn't you tell me? Like, why? And then I find out that Jason Frank was probably the culprit to like talking people into, you better take it, you better take your suit, you better take this. So unfortunately, I didn't get that talk. Like, I'm mad at him, you know? I got problems now because I don't have anything. If I could have taken something, I would have. I would have taken probably I would have taken my little outfit from the movie, and I probably would have stole a costume or something. I would have taken the spandex.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't steal too much. And I use the word steal loosely. I don't want you to go out and start stealing stuff. So we don't promote that. But yeah, Jason, I was telling her yesterday, because I mean, I always say that I took my ninja outfit from the movie, but it was never like really my thought to do that. But we were filming, Jason, Amy Jo, and myself, we had to catch a flight back to New York to do some press for the movie in New York. And the other three were still going to be filming in Australia. So Jason's like, just put your ninja outfit in your suitcase and let's go. Because we were heading straight to the airport and there was nothing they could do once they figured it out. So I did stick it in there, and I still have it hanging up in my closet today. I'm not sure.
What'd you say?
Actually, I took a shirt home one day from.
A shirt?
Yeah, it was like one of those. One of those long days on set where we were in a wardrobe and we were tired. It was like, I'm going home and throwing a jacket and realized, hey, I got my shirt from the show. I think I'll put it in my closet. So, that kind of thing. But I have the skateboard from the original pilot, and I also have Ernie's Juice Bar, the neon sign. So I have that.
Well, this is going to be disappointing. I didn't take a thing.
No.
And I should have.
We were the only honest two.
You guys, I tell you what, if I thought about it, I think I'm with Karen. My spandex suit, the original red helmet, I would have Well, I think I broke about a dozen of them, but whichever one was working at the moment, I probably would have taken that one. And I don't know, I had that, you guys all remember the intro to the show, that stupid tank top with the black pants and everything? I probably would have just taken that on premise. So, and that headband, that Rambo-like, what were they? Oh, wardrobe was so bad.
Right. I had yellow bobby socks.
And I wasn't really interested in taking my wardrobe because Ann Knapp, one of the producers, made it her job in life to go through my wardrobe and make sure that none of them had sleeves. It was just like, I don't think I wore clothes half of the time I was on the show. So, yeah, I should have, damn it.
Knowing what you guys know now, did you ever envision 20 years ago that this would become a worldwide phenomenon as it has today? And how do you feel now that knowing that it is a worldwide phenomenon 20 years later?
Well, I don't think we had any idea. I remember when we were sitting at the table at Bob's Big Boy reading the scripts, going, what are we, really? Do you think they'll let me change that line? That's horrible. But, so I know we didn't have any idea. I certainly was clueless. I was excited when the network picked it up and we found out it was actually going to be on TV. We just didn't know it was going to stay on TV. And clearly it did. But as far as, you know, I think about, and we all hear different numbers. I keep hearing 40 countries, 90 languages, hundreds of millions of fans around the world. I mean, if we were to put 100 million single dollars up here, aside from the mob, trying to visualize 100 million, even just dollar bills, is pretty amazing. So now trying to visualize hundreds of millions of fans who are now raising their children and producing hundreds of millions more, it's daunting. I have trouble processing it, but I couldn't be more grateful for it. You understand?
Yeah, I don't think any of us knew that 20 years later it'd still be so relevant. And I mean, when the show hit, it was like, okay, it was exciting then because they were like, okay, it's no more kids show, it's in 40 countries. And we're like, how do you even process that? It's in 40 countries, so now we've gone places where I can't speak the language, but they see me and they think I do because they redone my voice. So I'm like, I'm in Caracas, Venezuela, and they're talking to me, and I'm like, they're like, your voice is different. It's because it wasn't my voice. You know, you saw me on TV. It's just crazy. And then now, just it's the weirdest thing, meeting you all, and then meeting you with your kids, and maybe even sometimes Grandpa, because it's like Grandpa watched the show with his son, and now his son is watching the show with his son, and we got 3 generations of people that are familiar with the show and fans, and that's like, wow, that's amazing. It's crazy. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's just amazing. You guys are the reason it's been around 20 years. You keep watching.
So thank you for that. Appreciate it. Good question.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have time for like 2 more questions. Yeah.
Okay, cool. 1, 2.
I just want to say thank you guys very much. I'm the person I am today because watching you guys. So, but my question for you guys is, can you guys please more for us?
Oh Lord. What is wrong with you? Yeah, we'll do it in a couple seconds.
Okay.
At the end.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. What's your first name?
Lucas.
Lucas. Yeah, all right. Lucas is on the list. Okay, final question.
Why did you guys have to end on me and put all the pressure? That could be the last question.
You were the slowest to get in line, brother.
Well, I have a question. I just wanted to say that we appreciate you guys being here, and Mr. Jones mentioned it earlier, and I think he nailed it, that series is relevant still today. The biggest thing about it is, I remember it when I was a kid, but the biggest impact it's had on me is watching it with my kids. I have an 11 and a 6-year-old boy, and they're big fans of the original show as well. They like a lot of the series, but it's endured all of this time, so that's something that's amazing. After all this time, you guys still look great. You look like stars still, so we appreciate
appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, so now the second episode. Get into the question. I wanted to ask about the choreographed martial arts. You guys mentioned that you, when you auditioned, it was asked if you had a martial arts background, and I realized they have body doubles that do some stunts in the suits. Were you guys ever asked to do those parts in the suits, do some of that, or was all your martial arts done when you were ambushed, like, but in the script without the costumes on? That's pretty much the question. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, we did the majority. In the beginning, the show ran in Japan for 20 years before it was brought to America. So they had 20 years of footage of Power Rangers fighting in suits already. And what Saban did was he took the Japanese footage and American actors and spliced it together and made it like half and half of a show. He had already paid for the show essentially. So
that was the first 40 episodes.
The first 40 episodes. So the first 40 episodes we did. We did a lot of transitional stuff in the suits. We didn't have to do, fireworks and fall off buildings and that kind of stuff. But we did a lot of stunts of our own, which was, I think, what made the original series so much better because we were pretty tough. When we were doing the civilian fights, we had kicks. We were doing kicks to the head, and that's when they had to change it up because they're like, okay, it's too violent. But it was a lot of fun for us. Like, the fights got to be really exciting at that time. So. We all improved as martial artists, and I think as the show was progressing, it was just getting better and better and better, all of us, so.
Every opportunity I could do my stunts, I did. Yeah. Every opportunity. And oftentimes they would have 3 different cameras running at the same time, and it was just, if one of the cameras, didn't matter which one, had to see our faces, then obviously that's where we had to be priority-wise for production. So then I'd sit there and I'd watch the other guys come out in our stunts and in our gear, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, I feel like there's opportunity there to.
Yeah, but I mean, I kicked a lot of butt. I mean, it's not like I missed out. I kicked a lot of butt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we can see that you know, by watching the show, you can see your faces. A lot of times we noticed that you did your own stunts for fight scenes, so that's why I wanted to.
Yeah, and we have to give credit to an incredible stunt team. These guys, they worked hard.
Yeah.
They worked hard.
It was hot in LA.
So those suits, let me tell you, it wasn't like they were water cooled. We were in a California sun, it was hot. So and sand pits, and we fought everywhere. There was one scene where I had to do a backflip off of, or front flip, I don't remember, it was one of those flips. And I was on this huge rock that was probably 25 feet up in the air. And the director, was it Zuma we used to shoot at?
Yeah, Zuma Beach.
Zuma Beach, you remember that big boulder that was over there right on the water? And there was a scene where somebody was shooting at me, probably, I don't remember. And there was a squid that was gonna blow up. And they were like, oh yeah, well we're not sure, we'll shoot it over here in the sand. I was like, no. And I'm looking at this rock, I was like, I wanna flip off the top of that rock. And you just see is he serious? He's serious, I think he's serious. And they were like, can you do that? You might get hurt. I'm like, it's sand. Yeah, I could get hurt. I'm gonna do it, it's fine. So I did it. And to this day, there's still photos that they put out where I'm flying through the air, laying out this flip, and I had a blast. So I would do stuff like that every time I could. And I think it worried them, but they loved it because it made great TV, so. Yeah. Anyway, so we probably should.
Actually, Leo Carrillo.
That's right.
I have a confession to make. This is the only chance I'll ever have to say it. When I was a little kid, I wasn't much of a Power Rangers fan. I was curious, but I didn't get to watch it much, so I didn't contribute to your success one bit. But looking back and hearing your stories, I really respect you guys, and I appreciate what you've done for kids everywhere. Parents can complain all they want that the show is too violent, but the kids are still going to brush their teeth at night, so yeah, you guys are great.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to share one last piece, and then I guess we can do our morph.
We're going to give away a prize too.
Okay, and then we're going to give away a prize. But, you talked as a father, from one father to another. I had separated from the show. I left. I went on and I developed another professional career sort of thing. And towards the end of my last career, I spent 4 years in the Middle East. And I was working over there. My oldest son pretty much would have never known me. Except that my wife, who I told her, I was like, no Power Rangers in the house. I don't want them growing up knowing that dad is anything but dad. I just want to be dad. And against my judgment, with her better judgment, which is usually the case, she put Power Rangers up on the TV at home so that she could show my son, hey, that's your daddy. And so when I came home and I met my son, well, I met him when he was born, but when I came home and got to finally be with my son, he referred to me as Daddy Ranger. So I understand.
Okay, before we morph, give me 2 seconds to concur.
Concur.
Not concur. What's the word?
Conference.
Conference. All right.
Break.
Break.
Go team.
So we all appreciate you guys very much for coming and listening to us tell our exciting stories.
Here we go.
So, and we appreciate everybody that asked questions, but we'd like to give away some prizes to people that we, thought gave us better questions. So, I have 2 Power Ranger books, and they're autographed by all of us. I have one here and one's back at my table. So, Robert, are you still in the room? Yes. So this is for you, Robert. Come to our table, we'll all hug you. And then we want to give another one to Ashlyn. I have it back at my table, so when we're done here, just come to my table and I'll give you the book, okay?
Thank you guys so much.
You're very welcome, thank you. We enjoyed all of you. Okay, so now the moment you've all been waiting for. The infamous Power Rangers are gonna morph for you!
Infamous.
Infamous.
Again, he's like Mr. Vocabulary.
I know, right?
It was more phenomenal.
So listen, what we gotta talk about this.
So, blue, 32.
And then we'll go down the aisle.
That's right. Yeah.
So wait, was it 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yeah, that's right. Sure. All right. So let's see how this really goes. All right. Are you ready? Yeah. Let's get a countdown. Crowd countdown. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's Morphin time! Tyrannosaurus!
Triceratops!
Mastodon!
Saber-tooth tiger!
Deuces! Thank you guys.